Hello, hello. Welcome back to Lotus Chat Worldwide. We are at episode 42, and this week, Laura and I would like to discuss about the pitfalls of resistance. Before we jump into the topic, hi, Laura.
Hi, Zian. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much.
Great to be here with you.
Yes, me too. And I just want to also say thank you for being here on Thanksgiving week. I really appreciate that.
It is a busy week, but I'm always glad to be with you, Zian. So it's all good.
Yes. So for those of you who have been listening, I also want to thank you for spending and investing the time during this season to listen to us. If you are listening on YouTube, click subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, click follow. We would love to hear your response all the time. Okay. So let's jump in. So Laura, tell me a little bit about this topic. What does resistance looks like to you?
Resistance is an interesting topic, and we all feel resistance in our lives, but we don't call it resistance. Sometimes we call it stubbornness. Sometimes we call it, it's the other person's fault. Sometimes we call it our safety mechanism kicking in and protecting us, or our ego. But really what resistance is that feeling that comes to us where we don't want to do something, or where we feel that we should do something, but we don't want to do it. Or maybe there is just something that we have a story in our mind, and doing something different means that we've got to change. So resistance means we're resisting to change. We don't want to swap tracks on the freeway of life. And so what I find that resistance is that feeling of I'm stopping and I'm not moving forward with anything on this topic. I'm right, they're not. Or it could be fear. It could also be fear. I'm afraid to do something, so I'm just not going to do anything. So resistance is really kind of complex. We don't think too much about it. I've never heard someone say, I'm just resistant. It's usually someone else's fault, or it's my sense of my security is kicking in. There's all kinds of things, but no one ever really says I'm being resistant. Resistance is inside of us that says, I don't want to do something, or I don't want to be something. How about you, Zian? Do you have any thoughts on resistance in your life, or maybe in your work?
Yes. The reason I laugh so much because I am definitely resisting.
She told me at the beginning that she doesn't have a problem with this topic. I'm like, okay.
Loved it. Yeah, so that's why I think I can relate in that sense, because I'm resisting the idea of resistance. And you're spot on that, Laura, because when I am resisting, I'm only speaking for myself, when I'm resisting, I can feel myself being incredibly uncomfortable. I can feel myself going, that feeling, it's like I'm stuck. That feeling is something, it's not right with that person. Because I'm all wrapped up in my own world, my own worldview, my perspective, my preconceived notions. Everything is about me. And to me, resistance looks like I'm focusing on myself and I'm not really thinking about, the overall picture. So I'm just ruminating on what I'm resisting. So
well,
I also
sorry to tease you, Zian, but I have an issue with this topic as well. So I get it. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it out, and I'm glad you started it first. Okay, so that to me is resistance, and I feel that resistance is when there is a block of energy that's kind of like inside, and it's not flowing through. It's just circling inside. That to me is resistance. Yeah.
When I stop dead in my tracks and I refuse to move forward and I can't think clearly, I know that's resistance. And it's not always a good thing. So yes,
it's not.
You know that feeling.
So where do you feel most resistance in your life?
When I'm fearful. I am a controller, so when I don't know the outcome, I have more people in my life who want to take me on a process or a project, and they don't know where they're going. And I'm like, I know we're not going until I know the steps and I know where we're ending up. What does success look like? No, we're not making it up as we go. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's who I am, and I'm working on smoothing the rough edges. But resistance also is fear. It's lack of control for me. It also comes up when I could be vulnerable. I tend to be resistant in relationships if I have to be vulnerable, because that's scary. And I'm also resistant when I have to speak my voice when I'm not comfortable speaking my voice. So for instance, if I'm in a situation where people are being very emotional and they're being very dramatic, and I'm not that kind of person, I don't know what to say, so I'm resistant to engage in that. So I find those are some areas where I really find it in my life. And it's usually lack of control. It's usually I don't have a voice or can't find my voice in a scenario, and fear. That's what it is, or lack of control. So how about you, Cian? When do you feel most resistant?
I feel most resistance in my life, in my relationships. I can definitely resonate with what you say about being controlled, because when it comes to relationships, it's about two-person. So
Right.
hence, I cannot always expect or predict that the outcome could be the same, because, you know, we come from different backgrounds, different thinking. So hence, I think in relationships, it reveals a lot of part of me that I'm resisting. And you're right to say that it's because of fear, fear of not knowing the outcome. It's because of lack of control. Though I am in a phase where I want to kind of allow things to happen, but I kind of have like a sense of grip and control in my mind. I don't say it, but I kind of roughly have it in my mind. So when that whatever happens deviate from what I imagine in my mind, that's when I feel my resistance, you know, really comes out and it appears. And particularly, I think, in relationships, it's really obvious for me.
It's like radar. It just goes.
Yeah.
So what does resistance tell us about ourselves?
Very good question. I think resistance, when I resist and then I calm down, then I think it points me to freedom. It points me to where I could be. It points me to a ways of being where I could have been this person, or it points me to my flexibility. That's right. It points me to my open-mindedness. I think that's where it leads me. So I think resistance after the storm brings revelation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's
What
good.
about you, Laura?
It tells me that I have inner work to do on my need for control. It tells me that I don't have to be so afraid. And it tells me that like you said, I love that when you kind of come down from that resistance mountain that you're on, it's kind of like a war. You're like out there going, trying to protect yourself. What I find is then once I'm calmed down, I can see other avenues. I can see other answers. I can see how the resistance didn't really serve me, and there might have been a better way to do it. But that resistance is what caused me to react and not move and not participate. So for me, it tells me about myself and areas of growth that I need to improve.
Yes, areas of growth. That's so brilliant. Yes, I think when we stop resisting, we allow ourselves to grow, right?
Exactly. So that's our last question. And you just answered it, but if there's something you want to add to it, what does moving past resistance look like, and why is it important in our journey?
Yeah, I think when we move past resistance, it gives us a glimpse of how life could look like. I think it
Yes.
gives us, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it gives us a little perspective of a new way of doing things, because I think when I resist is because I have a set way of doing certain things, certain ways. So there's no right or wrong, right? So you can just do it another way. Yeah. So I think when we move past resistance, it also allows creativity, because we move past certain boundaries. So we get to be creative to learn different things and different perspective. What do you think, Laura?
I really like that. For me, when I pass resistance, I find I'm much more calmer, and I don't have the anxiety or the fear. And so I feel calmer, and I'm enjoying the road more. I'm enjoying the journey. And so resistance stops me from the enjoyment. But once I'm past it, I can go back to flowing through life and enjoying what happens in the moment. Resistance makes me more prepared for the fight. Whereas past resistance, getting past it, there's no fight. It's joy. So
yeah, definitely. And it also allows like life to happen, because you know, we allow that the magic of life to kind of reveal what the universe has in store for us. You know, it's so boring if we know everything, right?
No, but it's part of our growth. It's part of the journey. And I think resistance tells us there's something that we need to learn. There's something about us that we need to shift. And it's not fun, but it's really a good thing. And it isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to open up and say, tell me what's going on here. I want to just kind of clarify something. For those of you that might be going through a real rough time where you're resisting maybe abuse, or you're resisting some kind of behavior that is harmful, that's not the resistance we're talking about. If you're being harmed, please find, there are resources, please find a way to remove yourself from that experience. If it's toxic, hurtful, harmful, we're talking about the resistance where someone wants us to do something, or we're having to engage in something that we just don't want to do, and it's triggering us inside. So there is a difference in resistance. If you're resisting harm, bodily harm, mental harm, that's a separate type of resistance that we're not advocating that you stay and learn something from that journey. That's a separate issue. Please find the resources and protect yourself.
Thank you for mentioning that, Laura. I do have one more question that I'd like to ask, since we're talking about this. How do we balance between, you know, not resisting and allowing life to be what it is versus fighting for what we really want?
Well, I don't think resistance is fighting for what you want. I think that's more perseverance. That's more being assertive. That's getting out there and not giving up, not taking no for an answer. Resistance is when we stop dead in our tracks and we just don't go anywhere. We're just like, no. Or I don't have enough information. You're gonna no. So I hear what you're saying. I think resistance, though, is when you don't move forward or backward, you just stay. And I think if you're moving forward and you're fighting for what you really want and what your goals are, that's being assertive, and that is fighting for what you want. That's perseverance, I think. That's my thought. How about you?
That's beautiful. No, I think it's a very fine balance, and I think only you will know when to kind of draw the line. It's very hard to say, it's very ambiguous. But I do think that when we are stuck in a perspective, it's always good to get coaching and hear from another's perspective. So I want to connect to women who are probably stuck in their resistance right now, you know, and they they maybe want to hear a new perspective, I encourage you to connect with Laura at Mammoth Age Coaching, at her name, or me at Zian Walter. Connect with us, and perhaps we could help you to kind of unstuck that resistance.
I love that. Thank you, Zian. Both of us have our own coaching business and would love to talk to you. Just reach out to us on Instagram and message us, and we would love to meet with you and talk to you about resistance or why you feel stuck and you can't move forward. And that's very common, especially in women, because we've been trained to be more like just accept it and let it flow, and it doesn't always work that way. So we would love to connect with you. So I just want to say, with any final thoughts on your part, Zian, anything that you want to share?
Good.
Okay. Well, we just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. Resistance is important because it's one of those things that we think is a good thing, but it can really stop us in our progress in our journeys. So I think it's really important to take a look at it for what it is, not what we think it is. And I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please follow us or subscribe to us, please. If you're a listener on Spotify or a video watcher on Spotify, please follow us. We would love to have you as one of ours. If you would like to know more about a topic, please put it in the comment section. We do read those, and it does matter as we discuss specific topics. And we have an email address, lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. And so please feel free to email us with topics that you would like to hear more about. Next week is the magic of gratitude. And the reason we decided is this is the holiday season, and sometimes it's hard to be grateful for all the work involved. And so we want to talk about the gratitude and the magic of the season. The question, though, that I have for our listeners is, what is the resistance in your life telling you about you or the situation that you are resisting? And with that, I'm going to say good night. And Zian, good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.